Hello, my name is Mark Showmaker. I'm the Fire Marshal for Upper Southampton Township. I'm also past chief and life member and active firefighter with the Southampton Volunteer Fire Company, which we're here tonight to talk a little bit about fire safety. In front of me here I have a bunch of items that we have actually taken from fire scenes during our fire investigations to try to show you some of the simple things that you can do to prevent fires in your home. More importantly, a number of these items were taken from kitchens, which seem to be one of our highest areas that we have fires where they start. In fact, it's a statistic that 49% of the fires in America are started in the kitchen, either from careless cooking or some type of other source. Okay, as you can see to the right of me, I have a series of storage containers that you would typically find in a kitchen of a house. And on these particular items, you'll note that they are melted in a number of different locations. What had happened here, a fire started on a stove top because the combustible plastic containers were too close to the coils for the electric range. So the heat that was being generated to cook transferred to these items and melted them and started the fire. Another common thing we come across on some of the older stoves are the cover tops that are placed on top of the stoves. They're more decorative than anything to try to keep the elements covered during non-use and make the kitchens more attractive. But as you can see, we have a heat demarcation here of a stove that was turned on while these were still in place. Fortunately, it didn't transfer too far, but it did cause a problem and smoked up the house, set the alarms off, and the fire department responded. Another item that we find, the teapots left on the stoves where that boils the water out because they got forgotten, they overheat. There are some items on here that can combust. There's some of them that are cheaper that have actually plastic handles that you have to be careful with. But as you note here, this was an exposure from another device that actually was burning on it, a combustible product that was left on the stove and just radiated to the teapot. But we do find that these are put on stoves. The liquid inside of them gets to a boiling point as they are supposed to, but if they're not supervised, they can boil out and then cause a fire. Another item that we came across during one of our fires, this is a typical medicine container that you would find in a household. And a lot of times they're kept in the kitchens because the kitchen's the central point of the house. Unfortunately, this one was actually left on a stovetop, and the stovetop was activated, and as you can see, it melted into the container. The plastics melted. They didn't really burn a lot, but generated enough smoke to cause the activation of the detection system, which in return, again, contacted the fire department, responded, and this is what we found. But we find all kinds of kitchen devices, as you can see, that are left too close to the burner. So it's imperative to, one, make sure you don't store combustibles near your active stoves or hot surfaces, and two, that they're supervised at all times while in use, particularly around children. We want to make sure the children are kept away from them while they're being used. We may have handles that are sticking out, pots on the stove, things that can be grabbed and pulled that can cause serious injury or death to people. And we don't want that to happen. We want everybody to be safe, so we're trying to provide you with these safety tips tonight. Another item that we come across a lot, and not normally in the kitchen, are bathroom exhaust fans. These seem to be picking up in popularity for cause of fires. There's a number of reasons for that. Some are cheap, very cheaply built. Others don't get maintained. These actually need to be vacuumed. If you look up at your bathroom exhaust fans, there's usually a shroud up at the ceiling and you'll see an accumulation of dust. It's a good practice to get your vacuum out and clean that off. Get that dust built up out so this can't overheat. When the dust builds up, overheating occurs, and then we have an overheating of the motor. The combustible shroud that we talked about that you're going to vacuum then ignites, causes a fire in the bathroom, everything drips down and then starts the products of combustion down below, also on fire. Another item I want to talk about are electrical switches and electrical receptacles. A lot of folks tend to put their own devices in to replace old ones that may be in there. My recommendation is to have a professional do it. And when you do, if you're not going to have that, or you're going to have somebody in your own family do it, make sure you're using quality equipment. There's a lot of cheap devices out on the market. The inexpensive ones normally don't hold up. In this particular case, you can see there was a failure on a toggle switch. This was a loose connection that was done by a homeowner that caused this. It's called a high resistant fault because the electricity, as it's generating through here with the loose connections, really heats up. And as you can see, it just melted away and deteriorated this switch, again causing a fire on a wall. Another item I want to talk about are extension cords. We have this particular three-way extension cord to plug in 3 devices into one cord. We also have multi-plug that you find in the offices and the homes. And we want to make sure that you're using good quality, listed products. When I say listed, there's a listing by Underwriters Laboratory. It will say UL on it, maybe ETL. There's a number of groups out there that do these certifications, and you want to make sure that you're using products that say that on it or have that type of stamping. If not, you end up with something that's cheap, and we have a failure, as you can see here, and 2 of the actual points. One in the center was the main failure, extending over to the other one. This was an overloaded circuit, but a cheaply built product, and I think that's why we had the failure on it. And last, but the most important thing in your house is to have working smoke detectors. As you can see here, I have 2 smoke detectors that were recovered from fires. Both of these devices still work to this day. Smoke detectors are only good for 10 years maximum in your home. A good rule of thumb is if you don't know how old your smoke detectors are, you should be replacing them. The newer smoke detectors come with a non-replaceable battery. It's a 10-year battery. It's good to have. You should at least one of these in your house, but the actual code says that for every bedroom that you have, there should be 1 smoke detector in each bedroom, 1 outside those bedrooms in a hallway, and at least 1 on each level. It's a very good practice. They're very inexpensive, but this can save your life. It's probably the most important thing we talked about tonight. Thank you. Goodbye.